hello. Um, well, uh, I have a diagnosis. That's what I want to talk about. Uh, but I also want to talk about my living situation for the past, well, at least for the past 10 years. Uh, I've had to live with my mother pretty much all my life, but after I became an adult, I had to live with her because I was diagnosed, and if you've watched any of my other videos, you'll know that you'll you'll understand my perspective on uh, how women and the government and all that, how they control, how they implement their laws and their will, you know, on the people. And it's not done, like Roman style back at, pre New Testament. Like, it's not done by force. It's not like you do what I say, or you will kill you, or put you in jail, or, well, they still put people in jail, just not for straight up reasons. They gotta work it a little bit, I would imagine. I mean, because to get on a side note, the only people, I mean, I've heard it said that prison is for the stupid criminals, and they're put there by the smarter criminals, and basically, but the way they control now is a lot of it has to do with women and gossip and controlling the narrative. Women are a collective for the most part. You talk to one. I've heard it said that you talk to one, you're talking to all of them. Because they gossip with each other so much and they're so interconnected. And those women that can control communities and society, they're really good at controlling the male population for obvious reasons, I would think. But it's a system of control, and I wasn't aware of something. I wasn't aware that something that terrible could exist when I was fresh out of high school, fresh out of school. I didn't go to college. Well, I had a scholarship when I was 16, but I dropped out of that. But because I was noticing weird things at that time, because I wasn't. I think that was when I was stepping out of the safety, and I was like stepping into a new world or whatever, a new way of that things work. I was exposed to something like I was when I actually left school and started noticing all the underlying things that go on. I didn't know what it was. I was just aware that something was going on, right? And I was trying to figure it out. All the while, this is 1997. You got all these gay people becoming acceptable. You got Teletubbies tickling each other's ass on public broadcast, public television. and I'm dealing with that too, and them coming into my work and seemingly hinting or implying that I am a homosexual or that I would ever consider being one. Even if you call it denial, that's just a trick they use to make it seem bad, to deny, your evil side or evil inclinations, if you have them, which I really don't see myself having or have experienced. Well, I've been influenced by people who I didn't know were going to do things, and then I wound up being like compelled to do things that when I was real young, that I didn't even when it was over, I was like, what the hell just happened? It's like I wasn't even there. It's like something else took over. It's very strange. I mean, when you think about it, it's like some kind of vampire compulsion, compelling thing. It's what it seems like. It's thinking about it, but not at the time, but like looking back. But yeah, so I got them coming in, the homosexuals who are now free to spread their ideologies and ways of being, as much as they want, and because they're suddenly acceptable, all of a sudden, like never before, and I'm just confused. I'm like, why is this happening? What the hell's happening? Why is the world going in this direction? And why is reality going in this direction? So that could be a possible explanation as to why I developed my diagnosis, because they call it a split from reality as well as a split of the mind. So maybe I split from reality because I didn't like the direction it was going in. But I've been through that for a long time. People still, when I'm out in the community, or even in, like, other ways, mostly the women will be talking about somebody who seems, if I didn't know any better, which I don't, because it seems to me that they're talking about me and what I do, because that's what they're talking about, only they're referring to that person that they're talking about as a she. Okay? Now that wears on me a lot, and in the beginning, that's why I believe I had my break. That combined with me being against the whole direction the world was going in, so I kind of split from reality in that sense. I went my own way, as well as mentally disagreeing with how I believe and want to portray myself and be, that I don't want to be emasculated, I don't want to act like a woman. I don't know why anybody would, if they were a male, if they had any control over themselves whatsoever. I don't know why they'd want to. It confuses me. I'd like to know why they do it, though, so we could at least address, start somewhere as far as why this, what's going on. But then I've been living with my mother my whole life. I started to work out of high school. I was working in high school. I started to work after high school when I started seeing all this stuff going on. And it started to get to me, but I wasn't talking about it because it was I mean, it was such a strange thing that how do you talk about it when you've never even experienced it before, or anyway, and nobody talks about it. Nobody else talks about what's going on because it's all underlying and covert. The things that are going on that are all connected by the people in society and all that, connected through society. And but nobody talks about it. Not straightforward. They might try to talk about certain aspects of it in kind of allude to it in the way people talk and stuff. But yeah, I got a lot to explain as far as my experience, which I'm trying to do. And as far as the world. But yeah, I live with a mother that plays, she's very manipulative. She, both mentally and until I get emotional, and then she assumes control of my emotions, and the whole, rules the roost. And I really dislike her. Because of that, and they wonder why I was originally diagnosed as being part of my diagnosis being paranoia, but the cause of paranoia, the root cause of paranoia is manipulation. I didn't come up with that either. That is something that has been said before. It's been written down, and it is most likely true. And as far as delusions, my mom twists reality to suit whatever goal she has in mind. She's very passively aggressive in getting what she wants, especially in general, but I'm exposed to it every day, and they wonder what causes my diagnosis, or at least why I haven't completely recovered, I would imagine, but they also wonder what causes it. And I think it's honest people being manipulated. People who don't manipulate intentionally or control others being controlled against their will and manipulated. I think has a lot to do, at least in my case, that is what has a lot to do with what causes my particular case. Because it happens in society, and it happens with the one person I am living with, and I have no friends. I'm pretty isolated, so that's really the only. I don't belong to any groups. I don't belong to any organizations, or I don't have a job that I would be like a business I would be associated with, or anything like that. I'm pretty much on my own, besides my manipulative, controlling, selfish taker of a mother. On an extreme level. and she does it so covertly that she gets away with it. And I don't think human resources. I think human resources want me in this position because it's like my mom's doing, the government's job for them, which is controlling me and people like me, you know. It's hard to do this in a recording because it's reversed. But these are the things I deal with on a pretty regular basis. The internet talks about targeted individuals, and whether or not they are targeted, I do believe they are individuals, and that may be why they experience things the way they do. And I think individuality in itself is, on a decline. Ever since this has started happening, music has really sucked. It's my caseworker said it went corporate. All the mainstream music is corporate and all pushes the same ideologies, and so music sucks in the mainstream, the most funded and backed music, and which means it all suffers. Women are. It took me a long time to figure out what I've figured out recently, and that's women like to control the community for their own safety and for their own wants and for their own families and the people they consider to be beneficial to them. And they will do that, continue to do that through gossip and spreading rumors and controlling, how people see other, individuals who they want to affect, to have an impact on. And it took me a long time to figure that out. Long time. Over 20 years. And then my childhood, I had no idea anything was happening. So I don't know, it's been at least 20 years since I've been dealing with it that it took me to figure that out. Maybe I'm just slow. Or mentally manipulated, which would make me paranoid and delusional, which would get me a diagnosis like the one I have. Yeah, you kind of see the connection. If only there was one person responsible for all of it, then I could sue him, or which I at least I would have one person I would know is responsible. That whenever something like this happens, I'd be like, oh, it's that person again. But it's all of society, really. However controlled by however small a group or individual who pulls whose will is exercised throughout the majority of society, the mainstream, whatever, corporations, whatever, the government, federal and state, especially federal. Federal is like, we won't even we're not even transparent. We tell you what to do. And if the federal government, the IRS, has the right to tax somebody up to 100% of their assets, and they have a lien on every dollar printed in this debt-based economy where anything you buy with their money, they own, which is a form of communism. Only it's covert, so it's on steroids. And I just, at least that's my understanding of communism. The government owns everything, right? Pretty much. And some other aspects I'm not exactly clear on. But what do you do, huh? I'm trapped. There's nothing I can do, and nobody else is apparently able to do anything either. Would nuclear holocaust be all that terrible considering the state of the world? Would it be all that bad? I mean, I regret being born. I regret my existence, considering this reality that I exist within. And the way it works, I regret it. You know. That's my biggest regret, I guess. Based on smaller regrets. Alright.